Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies, where we're coming to you from my basement here in the middle of the United States of America. I don't know if I can call it that anymore. I guess I still can.
I mean, that's, yeah, what?
Well, I think we're a corporation now, right? The United States. I don't know, man. We're a corporation. We're not the United States of America.
We're still technically, even if we were a corporation, we'd still be the United States. You're getting into some weird shit. We're still the United States of America.
But that's where we're
just
at,
not
man.
the America you want it to be.
True, very true. For some reason, our audio is being kind of leaky. I don't know why. We're coming in hot sometimes and hot not.
I don't know.
We'll get that figured out. But anyways, thank you all for joining Talk Junkies tonight. We are missing Jesse. Got Johnny in the house. Guest free tonight. I want to thank Randy Walsh for coming on 2 weeks ago. We had a very delightful conversation with Randy. Very interesting stuff, especially when he got into the F1 rockets.
Yeah, that was the moon landing and the rockets and stuff. That was. I really enjoyed that one.
I did too, and I've been in contact with Randy, and I think he will most likely come on the show again. And he talked about the gentleman who kind of remasters his videos and stuff, and then uploads it on his site. He's in the works of doing that, so our podcast will be out on other people's YouTube channels, which is really cool.
Cool.
So thank you, Randy. We got his book over here. Check it out. Definitely support Randy and his work because he's doing a lot of great work and a lot of great research. And speaking of research and information, I think people like Randy are very important in today's times because when we're specifically talking about what's going on with the COVID or whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to say the specific word due to YouTube algorithms or whatever, COVID, whatever, I'll say it because YouTube's not going to care.
I'm not going to say it. Here I go.
We're not big enough yet, man. YouTube doesn't care. But anyways, Johnny, you made a good point earlier when we were outside just kind of talking about it, and I'll let Johnny kind of just hit this one on the nail real quick, but before I do, I mean, we're in scary times, you know, and I'm not trying to do fear porn and put fear in anyone's minds, but, like, if the things do happen that are suggested by the president right now and his administration, it's some scary shit, man, some shit that America hasn't, I don't think, ever seen. Maybe they have, with draconian measures and forcing people to put something into their body that they don't want to put in their body. But there's a really interesting way to look at it, and then, Johnny, I'll let you hit it, man.
Can I say the V word?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first off, I have to preface this by saying that I am, in general, like 99%, I am not against vaccines. I never have been. Paul and I may differ a little. He may feel differently. If he wants to talk about that, he can. Doesn't matter. But I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Never have been. I'm all for it. Polio vaccine, mumps vaccine, all that different stuff, whatever vaccines, I'm cool with it. No issues. The big thing that I want to point out, though, or the thing that drives me crazy about this one is the not having the freedom aspect of it. Like, I'm against this one, but I'm not some kind of crazy people shouldn't get it. Like, if you want to get it, go for it. I'm not one of the, I don't think that it harms you or does anything like that. And the other thing is we don't know. Most people don't actually know. We're all getting our, like, intel from different sources, so who knows what to believe anymore in the world. But my whole thing is, just basing it off of, like, experience and stuff from the past and what we know, our government has never really been for us. And so, like, back in the 60s or whatever it is, they had they had a big push for, like, DARE or whatever. They were super anti-marijuana. In the 60s, they were super anti-marijuana, and they made this big push with it. And then come to find out that Nixon, I think it was Nixon, right? Was it Nixon or Rick? I don't know. I'm so bad with history, and here I am messing it up. Anyways, like, Nixon's advisor or whatever was like, there's like a quote of him saying, yeah, we did that. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, we did that. We made this big push because we were trying to limit the black community, and we were trying to limit the anti-Vietnam War community. And people associated marijuana use with the black community and the hippie community that was anti-war. So if we made marijuana seem like this great evil, then we could limit those two communities and make people view those communities as bad and not want to be those communities. And that's like an actual paraphrased quote from him. That's ridiculous. So that's one thing they've done. And then up next, you have the fact that Gary Webb, the writer from the Sun's Times or whatnot back in the day, found out that the CIA was bringing in crack or cocaine or something from, like, basically the CIA was paying to have crack brought up here and all this different stuff so that they could fund some kind of like shadow war nonsense or fund the rebels or whatever, but without the American people knowing, in like Nicaragua or Venezuela or something like that. I don't have all the facts. But, I mean, you can look into that. They've even made a movie about it and stuff, but you can look into Gary Webb and look into all that. But basically, the CIA was, like, making, and this is all public knowledge, by the way. Like, this is out there. You can find pictures of people protesting in front of government buildings and, like, and saying, like, hey, you killed our kids. Like, you brought crack into our community. Like, it was the government who did it. This is public knowledge. This isn't some weird conspiracy theory. It's all out there. Same with the weed thing in the 60s. That's all out there. And then you have, this one's a little more slightly conspiracy theory, but there is some knowledge on that too about the MK Ultra projects, which were like quote unquote mind control things where they would have a town and put LSD in the water system and all this, and they were testing on people without their knowledge and stuff. And then like 20 years later down the road, the government finally admitted and said, yeah, we did do that, but don't worry, we fired all those people. They're out of the administration now. They did bad, blah, blah, blah. We won't make the same mistakes. And then everybody thinks that the government's spying on them, and the government's like, no, we're not spying on you, blah, blah, blah. And then Edward Snowden comes out and says, hey, guess what? The government's spying on you. Like, they can look through your camera on your laptop at any time. They can do all this stuff. Once again, public knowledge. Like, public knowledge that the government can spy on you. The NSA can do whatever the fuck they want. Like, all this is out there. And I'm adding this all up, and I'm like, man, the government has never been out for our good. Sure, local government, fine. Small government, fine. But the federal government has never been out for our good. They've always done things that are just real shitty to the American people. So the reason, getting back to what I started with, the reason that I don't so much support this current vaccine is because of how hard the government is pushing it. They've never really done that in the past. Sure, there were ones that you had to get to go to school. You had to get like the meningitis vaccine if you wanted to play on the basketball team or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they had those, but the government is all out, like just super hard, shoving it down our throats, making mandates, doing all these things. And I'm like, man, when have they ever done anything on a massive scale? Like they're advertising it. Like you're watching YouTube right now, or you could be watching us on YouTube right now. We're on other platforms as well, but chances are you're watching it on YouTube. There's ads on YouTube that are like government funded ads that come out talking about how you should get the vaccine and all this different stuff. My point is they're making this massive push harder than they ever have before for this kind of thing across social media and across everything. And I'm like, man, if the government is this involved in it and this aggressive about it, I don't want any part. Based on
their track record.
Based on their track record. Exactly. Based on their track record, I want no part of it. And that's the only reason. I'm not against vaccines. I'm not whatever. But when you're like I'm just going by maybe shitty logic, but it seems like sound logic in my mind. Based on their track record and all the shitty things they've done and all the non-positive things they've done to the community, I don't agree with this one. And I could be wrong. Like, I 100%, like, I'm willing to admit that. I could be 100% wrong, and we could find out a lot more 5 years from now, and then I'm the asshole because I didn't get vaccinated or whatever, and I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to say, man, I fucked up. I made a mistake. I was wrong this whole time. 10 years from now, we find out so much different. I'm like, man, that sucks because I could have hurt other people by not being whatever. But right now, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it for sure. Because you've brought a lot of light into my life, man, and the way that you describe things sometimes simplifies it for me, and it makes me understand it better. But for the people who don't know, and if you don't know, I mean that's kind of weird. But what's going on right now is Biden came out with a speech like a couple days ago stating that. All federal workers are going to be required. It's like a 6-step program. All federal workers are going to be obligated to take the vaccine or lose their job. And any employer in the United States that has over 100 employees, they'll be forced to take the vaccine or they'll be mandated to take a test once a week to participate at that work establishment. So we're getting into a lot of different types of environments there, whether that's ethical, whether it's a human rights violation, how many different lawsuits there are. There are 21 governors that are going to sue the Biden administration over this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in play. And one thing you didn't mention, Johnny, that when we were outside talking is just the amount of information that's out there. The amount of information whenever you look for people who are for the COVID vaccine and people who are against it. And to me, it doesn't like matter to me in that aspect. But the way that Johnny kind of said it was like, how could you ever know? How could you ever know what is real and what is not? Because and I've talked to people and it's just like I mean, you said it best, man. Like, but there's two people sitting at the bar and they're going back and forth. Like, man, masks work and masks don't. Neither of those two people know because one, they're not doing the research.
They're both right, and it's like Schrodinger. They're both right and they're both wrong at the same time. Because the truth is, neither of them know. If two people at the bar, one person saying, "Oh, masks work because the molecule's too big and it doesn't fit through blah blah blah, and masks are protecting," and then the other person saying, "No, they've proven masks don't work." Like, the thing is, neither of you actually know, and like. That's why I said I don't like to take sides. I try to stay non-biased and stay in the middle, because the truth is, if you're watching this or listening to this, you could hate everything we're saying and be like, no, I'm super pro-vaccine and you guys are just dumbasses, blah, 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 blah. But if you hardcore believe that, like, you also need to take a step back then and try to be a non-biased and look at the other side. Just like I need to take a step back and look at, and like, man, there could be some positives to the vaccine if it's actually true and all that. Like,
but
I don't know.
But that's the thing, and that's the thing. Like,
nobody knows. Nobody has the intel because the government can lie. They're allowed to lie. News media can lie. The news can lie to you all the time. They don't have to tell the truth. There's nothing legally obligating your local news. You're watching Fox or CNN or CBS or any of them, NBC. They're not obligated to tell you the truth at all. There's no legal thing there whatsoever. They can tell you whatever they want. It's all for entertainment purposes. And it's all for just views and ratings. Like,
yeah.
So nobody knows where to get reliable information.
And that's
and we can lie to you. Like, nobody knows where to get.
I try not to, and I'll be honest.
I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying.
But I like how you and I, whenever all three of us are together and we're sitting there having a conversation, we'll be like, oh, well, we think this is what it is. We should probably do a little more research on it. Don't hold me on that. You know what I'm saying? And we do get our information from other videos that we see and shit like that. But the thing for me is we're not telling people to go get vaccinated. We're just saying, hey,
I'm not telling you not to either.
Exactly. I'm not telling you to get it or not get it. I'm just saying, leave me the fuck alone and just let me go around about my business. That's it.
That's the biggest thing.
That's it. And like, dude, I've made a post before, like with all the, like, again, I hate identity politics and I don't want any part of it, man. But unfortunately, like, if I had to be ruled or if I had to be governed by anyone, like, I mean, I would want it to be Republican because they don't want to take my rights away, at least when it comes to the COVID vaccine. I don't even know why I'm saying that. Sorry. But it's insane, man. It's just insane that, like, sorry. What I was going to say is, like, I put, someone like said on something on Facebook and I got into like this pretty big debate and I just sit there and I said, abortion's okay. But yet, or, you know, like most liberals or most people on the left are for abortion.
Okay.
Right. So it's like pro-life, or no, pro-choice. I can't.
Pro-choice.
Yeah, pro-choice. It's my body, my choice.
Yeah.
And so that's my argument to the vaccine. I'm like, it's my body, my choice.
I agree with you. The only problem with those kind of arguments is that those are straw man arguments where you're taking something else that's unrelated.
True.
And using.
Well, I don't know. You know, I mean,
no, that's literally like the definition of a straw man argument. You're taking something else.
No, it's the same though. It's my body, my choice.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with abortion.
But it's still, I mean, but that's what...
the vaccine has nothing to do with abortion. Those are two completely separate...
But it's the slogan, man. It's the
slogan. You're talking about the slogan. Once again, that's a straw man argument
because
it doesn't...
But it's my body, my choice.
Okay, so say that about the vaccine and only the vaccine, though. Abortion has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're going. But you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, that kind of... You look at it however you want. That's just how I look at it. You can say straw man. That's fine. But whenever you say my body, my choice, like if you don't want to... If you want to get rid of a baby or whatever you want to do... Well, if I don't want to get a vaccine, I don't want to get a vaccine. I know they're completely separate topics, but the moral of the story is the slogan is my body, my choice.
Yeah, I get. No, trust me, I got what you were saying. I was just saying using that argument in like an actual debate would not work or not fly.
Sure.
You were in debate, man.
I know. I mean, I was good, but I wasn't the best, man. But I think ultimately what it comes down to, like you said, Johnny, and you hit it hard, man, is that you can get your information from the left or the right or wherever you want to get it, and you're not going to get the right info. Because one, like the scientists who are paid by the government are going to say what the government wants them to say. Big Pharma is going to say what they want to say because they want to get money. And they're going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard to find the right factual information. And is that even out there? I don't know. I have no idea if it's out there. And if it is, I'd love to find it.
Man, everybody has a track record of lying. So it makes it hard to believe when they do tell you something.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is what you were getting at with the my body, my choice thing is that at the end of the day, it is not my responsibility or my right or whatever to protect you. I should. If I'm a good friend and stuff, I should be there for you. But it's not like I'm wording that weird. I'm like wording that backwards. What I'm trying to say is leave me alone. Let me have my freedom. Let me do whatever I want as long as I'm not hurting you. And by the way, if you disagree with that, that's kind of insane because I feel like that's how we all are. Like if I told you what to do, if I'm like, hey, every Tuesday, throw a cup into the air and then try to catch it. Like that's what you have to do for the rest of your life now. Every Tuesday, throw a cup in the air and try to catch it. Sometimes you'll catch it, sometimes you miss. Doesn't matter, but you have to at least try every Tuesday for the rest of your life. Like, why? Why are you telling me to do this thing or whatever? Like, it's none of my business what the fuck you do. And it's none of your business what I do, as long as I'm not harming other people. So freedom of religion, separation church, all this different stuff. It's like...
So quick question. So whenever, so like if it's a declaration of emergency, right? And it's an emergency, it's whatever they want to call this. And that's what they're saying. They're like, hey man, like people are dying from this. People are getting sick from this. You are getting people sick because you are not taking the jab. What do you say to them?
If you are afraid of getting sick from this thing, then take all the precautions necessary to keep you from getting sick from this thing. It should not be reliant on me doing anything. If you are afraid, stay at home. If you can't stay at home and you want to go out, wear a mask. If that's not safe enough for you either, or you're someone who you can't be vaccinated because of, and I've known people like this, like you can't get the vaccine because you have, and I don't know for COVID, I'm talking about other vaccines.
Underlying conditions,
yeah. Or you've got immunodeficiency problems, autoimmune problems, stuff like that. Because that does happen. There's people who can't get the flu shot or whatever because of autoimmune problems and all that. Man, I hate to say this, and I'm going to sound really like cynical, but like, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry you have autoimmune problems. It is still your responsibility to protect yourself. It's like, man, I'm sorry you have diabetes, but it's not my responsibility to feed you the correct food. You take care of yourself after that happens to you. And like, I'm sorry about that, but that's how it is. Like, it's if crazy shit were to happen and zombies were to bust out. All of a sudden zombies are a thing and the government like forces everybody like, hey, we're all going to go to these safe havens and we're going to get in these groups of big people and you're going to go to this place and you're going to go to station B and you're going to go to station C and we're shutting down all these other cities because of this crazy zombie outbreak. I'll do whatever I want. Like I'll do whatever I want to do, which is how every American should be.
Yeah.
Is I'll do whatever the fuck I want to do. You can't force me to do something like that.
Exactly.
I will worry about my family and how I'm going to survive. And it's the same kind of situation. Once again, now I'm doing the straw man argument, but but it just, everybody is always in everybody else's business. Like I'm not going to fuck with you. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And that's how like, I don't see how people could be against that. I know that's like a libertarian view or whatever, but I don't understand how people can be against it. And I'm not trying to like, so it'd be bash on religion right now, but religion's a big one that does that, where it's like, oh, if you don't follow my religion, then this and this doesn't happen, and we can't associate, and you're not a good person, and all this different stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm not bashing your religion though. You do whatever you want to do, but don't force me to do something because you believe in something.
Yeah, it's like if we made a movement to say, hey, we hate religion. No one needs to practice religion. We're making a mandate that religion is not allowed anymore. And there's not going to be any more.
That's ridiculous, right?
There's not going to be any more churches.
That's ridiculous,
right?
No
more churches ever again. If there's any more than 50 people that congregate at a church, it's not allowed anymore.
That's ridiculous, right?
Right.
Or like book burnings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So why would you have the opposite end of it?
I don't get it, man. I don't get people's mindsets. Yeah.
Dude, leave me alone. Like, let me do whatever I want to do as long as I'm not out. Like, yeah, if I murder someone or I try to murder someone, yeah, put me in jail, shoot me, lock me up, do whatever you got to do to prevent me from harming other individuals.
Very true, and you make a good point because you're doing everything in your power not to murder someone.
Yeah,
and even if
that sounds weird, but yeah,
but like with COVID, like let's say you had COVID, but you have immunity or whatever, and you're walking around with it and you're spreading it to people.
I'm not coughing on people. I'm not going out of my way to try to spread COVID. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be different. Like the people going around in the videos, like licking, like taking the lid off of ice cream and licking it and putting it back in the freezer and shit. Like, yeah, that's bad. Don't do that. You're actually purposefully trying to cause something bad for someone else.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not purposely going out of my way
But what I'm saying is like
to cough on people, to sneeze on people, to like do whatever. Like, I'm just living my normal life. And if you're afraid of that, stay 6 feet away from me.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's
do whatever you have to
very
do
true.
to protect yourself. But do not tell me what to do to protect you. And do not tell me what to do to protect myself.
right. And that's what America's founded upon, is it not? So I think we're slowly getting away from that, honestly. It's what it seems like, at least with identity politics and just the whole arena of it and everything that's happening. Even when Trump was in office, like, he allowed a lot of this to happen in the first place. So it goes both sides, but just the political government type mafia agenda, whatever you want to call it, they're the ones who are creating this type of atmosphere and making people go against each other. And in Biden's speech, he said it's the vaxxed versus the unvaxxed, and we're going to do everything we can to protect the vaccinated people. It's not the government's job to protect anyone.
It's really, I mean, unless you're talking about like,
militarily,
yeah, I pay taxes so that like Russia doesn't invade.
Yeah,
you know,
you know what I'm saying. But like on a day to day in our daily lives, they're not involved in that. Like when it comes to who's vaccinated and who isn't vaccinated, I don't know, man. It's fucking
no. There's
crazy,
just so
man.
much of that, and it's not just the vaccine. It's everything. It's religion. It's the abortion stuff. It's gun control. It's all these different things.
COVID is just the new thing.
It's the new thing.
But it's new added.
Gay rights and gay marriage and all these things where it's other people telling other people what they can and can't do. It is not your right to tell me what I can and can't do.
Exactly.
Unless you own the business where it's at. This is the whole thing. I'm going to backtrack a little here, years. But this is the whole problem I had a long time ago with
the cake.
Cake thing. There was a bakery that didn't want to give a gay couple, didn't want to make them a cake or whatever for their thing. Now, yeah, I believe that that's fucked up. I believe you should just make the cake, whatever. But guess what? It's their right. I hate to say it. If they're bigots and they own the business, they have the right to refuse service to you. Like they do. Like I'm all for gay marriage and everything, but it's their right. And on the other end, guess what? If you walk into a church and they say, "Hey, we won't marry you because you're gay," then don't go to that church. Go to a different one that will. Like it's.
So, but doesn't that apply to like businesses?
But the government shouldn't be involved in it at all.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So, and if the government wasn't involved in this certain situation when it comes to COVID, then we wouldn't even have this problem because businesses want to flourish. They want to make money. They're not. There might be some businesses that say, "Hey, you need the COVID vaccine," but it's not going to be an overwhelming amount of businesses, in my opinion. If there were never any mandates from the government,
if there were never any mandates from the government,
yeah, everything would be fine. Like, dude, football stadiums are packed, 70,000 people, no mask. When COVID first happened, and we were all like, we did a podcast about it back in February, and I remember like you and Jesse just talking about, nah, man, it's all good, everything's just it's gonna be fine. And I just remember myself watching videos in China and Wuhan and shit going down. And they showed videos.
I remember when it first started, I was like, I give this thing like a month.
Yeah, yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I was wrong.
The first videos that people started seeing from Wuhan, it was like people in public just passing out and dying. Those were the videos that people were seeing. I have never once seen a video of like that in the United States.
I still haven't even seen interviews with the loved ones of people who passed away from COVID, which I thought was super weird.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get people emotionally attached to saving...
I'm sure they're out there.
I know, but it's just weird that that's not...
Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like CNN isn't putting that... and they have. They run articles
Maybe
like
I'm
that.
just not watching the news.
I don't watch the news either. Not much. I mean, a little bit, but...
I don't know. I think...
But that's what I'm saying is like, dude, it was videos of people just falling down dying in Wuhan. That is not the case, man. Like, and this is the thing. And maybe not even that. If the Black Plague were to ever resurface and just like I'm outside and I just see people dropping like dimes and flies,
then
and
your
shit,
common sense will take over
I will go
tell you
to my house. I will lock the door and I will not go outside.
Yeah,
that's it. That's not happening.
And then if the government comes up with a vaccine and they offer it to you, maybe you take it because you're seeing the results yourself,
right? And
seeing what like the potential danger is there.
Yeah,
which is how life is supposed to work. Like that's how it's supposed to be. Like let me make mistakes and figure out stuff for myself. Let me do, once again, stay out of my shit. It's not your fucking job to tell me what to do.
Yeah, and if you guys want to,
it's not my job to tell you what to do.
But if you want to do those types of things, then just look at like South Wales, Australia, where there are internment camps. That's legitimate. It's been reported on. There's videos of people living in these internment camps. They're fucking internment camps, bro, that people are living in. They're rationing their alcohol to 6 beers a day. They get food whenever they get food, is what the guy said in a TikTok. He's in a TikTok. He's wearing a mask. He specifically describes that there was this lady who went outside, took her mask off just for a second or two. They have surveillance cameras everywhere. She took her mask off. Police were there in minutes. Fucking minutes, dude. In Australia, South Wales.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. Australia's going hardcore with this shit, though.
Hardcore, man. New Zealand, one case, shut the whole country down. Boom, it's done. What the fuck, man? That cannot happen here in America. It cannot happen here.
We already basically shut it down whenever the thing first started.
No, yeah, Trump shut.
Everybody's quarantined inside, can't go out, businesses closed, people lost their jobs.
But in these other
I lost my job for a while. Dude, it's fucking nuts. Once again, it's not it's not the government's job to protect me in that aspect. Like, give me the information, sure. Be like, hey, like, it's not safe to go out because, like, viruses are a thing and people are, like, dying and shit. You can't tell me to shut down my business. I'm not harming people. I'm not selling. My fucking Mexican restaurant isn't selling arsenic inside the burritos. You know what I mean? I'm not doing anything to purposefully harm people. If people make the choice to come somewhere and they get sick because the virus is real and it's a thing, then that's their choice and that's my choice to stay open. And, like, obviously, I hate to say it, but it kind of works itself out from there. Like, people die and people figure it out and they stay at home or whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
But all this of it,
the government
forcing it down your fucking throat and forcing it down your throat and forcing it down your throat, man, that's not...
It was a test.
That makes me believe it less.
It was a test, man. They said, could we shut the whole world down? They did. There was a group of people who shut the whole fucking world down, man. That's nuts. A group of people shut the fucking world down, man. And we all complied. Each and every single person. I mean, except Sweden or a few other countries. Who knows what's real and what's not. Everyone complied, man. Everyone. Gladly. That's the craziest part, man. And the effects of it, all these small businesses, hundreds of thousands of businesses closed down. Closed down. And it's going to continue. Walmart, Amazon are going to continue to rake in the dough, man.
Yeah.
All these big corporations. I mean, and
biggest transfer of wealth. We always talk about that when COVID happened. That there's so much that just like.
So I mean, people might think it's like Agenda 2030 or Agenda 21 population control shit like that, and you may say it's crazy, but if just as people thought that COVID was crazy, it fucking happened. And look at all these small businesses shutting down. What's the purpose, man? Like, they're saying fuck you to small business. That's all they're doing.
That's the part that I don't get is. I don't understand why you have to close businesses at all. Like, hear me out. I don't understand why you have to. Let those people make that decision for themselves. And you can be like, yeah, because if you don't close down the businesses, everybody's going to get sick and die. Well, no, if people believe in it and they think that they're going to get sick and die, they're not going to go out in public and go to these businesses. They're going to stay at home and they're going to quarantine and they're going to listen to the government and they're going to do exactly what they're supposed to do. But why do you have to mandate that these things happen?
I don't think the government should ever be able to mandate really anything. That's what it ultimately comes down to. But I think, like, for me, just all the small businesses closing down. That's what's scary. And it just seems like they're trying to just kind of funnel.
Oh, no, they're doing that more, too, now with these new mandates of, like, hey, if you got more than 100 employees, then, and that doesn't mean more than 100 employees in one location, by the way. If your locations aren't, like, separate LLCs or whatever, like, if you work for...
Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint.
Yeah, let's say you work for Verizon and your store has, 5 employees. That doesn't mean that...
Oh, no, you're going to be required to take the vaccine.
Because Verizon as a company has, so many employees or whatever, you're going to be required. It's a ridiculous, like...
But, I mean, and that's the thing. I've talked with people who have a lot of employees, and they're like, and their reason behind making the vaccine mandated at their company is saying, we can't close down again. We can't shut down again. That's the reason.
What's that have to do with mandating a vaccine?
Because of what happened last year, they're afraid that COVID's going to spread, and they're just like, we can't do that again, so we're just going to mandate it across the board. That's the reason, man. Because the government has instilled fear into so many people, man. It's nuts. I sometimes I think I'm crazy, man. I truly do. Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I get that. I feel like that once in a while. I think you're crazy too.
Yeah. No. But then, like, I don't know, man. I just see what people are saying, and I'm like, I'm not crazy. There's no way I'm crazy. Like, with like I told you outside earlier, with an article from Israel, and again, this is information people can pick and choose from. that they're saying that you're 27 times more likely, or
herd immunity.
Herd immunity is 27 times stronger than the vaccine itself. On a report or a peer-reviewed article that was done in Israel. And Anthony Fauci said, well, I don't have an answer to that. So, I mean, like, if it's herd immunity is where it's at, you know, I don't know, man. I know we've kind of been talking about this a little bit too long. I know we didn't want to go on it that much, but I don't know. I mean, that ultimately, like, I think it comes down to what you said, Johnny, and that's the fact that you can get information from this side or that side. But throughout this whole conversation, I think that...
And they're all allowed to lie. All the sides are allowed to lie. Remember that.
Yeah.
You don't, I mean, pick a source that you trust and make sure you trust them.
But bring it back to common sense. And that's something that you're born with and something that you can see, like, open your eyes to every day and just observe the world that you're in and just see what's going on in the interactions that you have and realize and see that, like, dude, like, when I'm out and about, there's hundreds, if not thousands of cars, people shopping, people just doing everything.
There's nothing happening. There was a Chiefs game today. There's Chiefs game today.
78,000 people.
Yeah, all those people there, like, not wearing masks and just out there yelling and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm willing to bet that they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, they're probably going to be fine.
And this wasn't the first week. College football kicked off last week. Stadium's completely full. Sturgis the week before that.
But we're talking about mandating that people get injected with something. Literally forcing someone to take a form of, like, medicine, basically, or whatever. Like, forcing something into someone's body, like, it's oh my God, it's fucked.
All these people going to these Chiefs, or all these people going to NFL games and college football games, imagine if they cared that much about their freedoms, about getting forced to take a vaccine. Or, I mean, and it may be safe, like you said, 10 years down the road, we find out it's completely safe, I should have taken it.
Yeah, I could be 100% wrong, but either way, it shouldn't be mandated.
But imagine if people cared, man, like that, to where they actually stood up instead of going, like, if 80, I don't know, man, I don't know where I'm going with it. It's frustrating. We're all about entertainment. That's all it comes down. We've talked about that too, man. Yeah. So it's frustrating. Let us know what your thoughts are about the COVID mandates in the comments below. I know everyone has their own opinion on it. I've talked with people openly about it at work, and that's something I don't really like to do. But you know what? I'm past that point, man. Fuck it. I'm going to fight for what I believe in. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, and that's just kind of where it ends there. But we'll kind of change topics here, man. We'll go a little lighthearted. Johnny and I don't know. We're just chilling, man.
We're just chilling. It's a weird podcast.
It is, yeah. I forgot to mention. I wanted to open up the podcast, but we did just recently lose a friend, a really close friend actually. Getting the chills right now, but her name was Mary Owens, and she was a very young and beautiful woman. She was an amazing person. I had the pleasure of working with her for many years. I've known her since she was 16, but I know you didn't. I'll let Johnny give his piece. But Mary, we miss you. We love you. We'll always be thinking about you. You were an amazing person to know and an amazing person to be around. And thank you for everything that you did in my life and how you were a part of my life. And we'll miss you, girl.
I don't have a piece on that. I'm not gonna.
For sure, man. No,
I can't whip up a eulogy.
No, I know. And yeah, she was awesome, man. And that's kind of why we didn't do a podcast last week, just because of shit that was happening. And well, not shit, but that had happened. And yeah, here we are. But I'm curious, Johnny, what your thoughts are on 3D printing, and where do you think that that's going to lead?
Oh man, what a weird random.
I know it's like a complete 360, man, or 180, whatever you want to call it. But
random turn. I don't know. I haven't looked into it a lot. What do you mean though? Like, what are my thoughts on it? I think it's cool. So I think it's cool that it exists.
But like,
I think it could be useful for certain things.
Have you seen the videos of like how they 3D print shit?
What do you mean? Because there's lots of different forms, aren't there? There's different stuff. But
I think like they're building houses, or they're building weapons. They're building. They have these massive lasers that are just like building these like houses, man.
Yeah.
Houses.
What's wrong with that?
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just like asking your thoughts on 3D printing.
It's just a different form of construction. I mean, when you think about it, from the beginning of time until right now, there's always been different and better forms of making stuff. Like plywood didn't used to be a thing, and then we started compressing.
How does 3D printing work though? Like whenever, like, let's say you're building a house, do you know like the specifics of what is it, plastic that they're using? Like these
I'm pretty sure you can use different materials. I don't know enough about this, by the way. I don't know enough about 3D printing.
I figured you'd have a little bit of knowledge on it.
No, I mean, I think that, no offense, Paul, but I think that people think it's something crazy, and it's not that crazy.
I don't think it's crazy. I think it's
like
cool.
it's just
But like to me, like I'm trying to imagine like how this printer is just printing a house.
It's no different to me. It's no different than like when I used to work at Kawasaki years ago, when I was like 20 years old, 19 years old. You have like a lathe, like a CNC machine lathe. I'm maybe speaking weird mumbo jumbo, but some of you out there will get that. But it literally, like, if you're an engineer, you go in there and you program it to move a certain way. You know what I mean? Like so the whole unit, like, so we would have a crankshaft and it's just like raw steel, right? And that raw steel would slowly, like a typewriter, just move across in one direction. And then you have a lathe that goes in and out different distances to shape that steel. And it's just someone in the computer programming it to move in and out at a certain time to completely shape that steel. Like that technology's been around.
Are there any bolts in it?
It's the, what?
Are there any like bolts like in the Kawasaki? Or you said it's in the engine, right? Is that what you were saying? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just talking about a lathe, man.
Okay.
Just a lathe.
What's a lathe?
It's literally just it's when something spins around.
No. But like, what part of the Kawasaki was that? Are you talking about I thought you said when you were at Kawasaki, this is where you saw it.
Yeah.
So was it part of like a motorcycle or anything like that, or what was it?
It was so like we use them for tons of parts, crankshafts, camshafts.
So it's how they make the parts to make a bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All a lathe is literally take a piece of wood and put it between two things and then spin it around really, really fast.
Yeah, but it's metal.
And then like whittle or whatever.
But
like,
it's metal.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we have the technology to make these CNC machines, to make these computers that do it not by hand. The machine does it itself. Like you could have a piece of clay, like the old, like where they got the tables with the clay spinning on it and you sit there and you shape it with your hands and stuff.
Yeah.
And all that bullshit. Have that, but it's just a machine doing it and shaping it into the exact vase or whatever because it's being super precise. That's all 3D printing is. You're just programming it to move a certain way while spitting out whatever material it is. Plastic, glue, whatever. That's all it is.
But I mean, it can make weapons. It can, I mean, and
you can, man, it's still not that crazy to me. Like 3D
No,
printing is not that
exactly.
fucking nuts.
But like whenever you build a house, like you have screws, you have joists, you have all these other things. But like whenever you build it like 3D printing, I feel like maybe it has those types of things, but it's just a solid object.
Yeah, because it's just structurally sound that way.
I'd be curious. I mean, I wouldn't mind living in a 3D printed house just to see what it's like.
Yeah. I didn't know they were 3D printing houses, to be honest.
I think like testing, I've seen a video. I don't know that they're actually
But I guess
that.
what I'm saying is I don't see why it wouldn't work. I think it would work fine.
Yeah.
Once again, all it is, it's a computer. You put in some numbers and you tell it which directions to move. It's the same as how you could have a piece of paper and then a robot arm holding a pin, and it could perfectly draw the Mona Lisa, a sketch of the Mona Lisa, exactly the same every time, because that's what you put in the computer. That's what you programmed it to do.
Computers can do it.
So it's the same thing, just on a 3D level. All it is a little thing.
You really think a computer can exactly replicate the Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
The same paint color, everything?
Yeah.
No way. The same etches and
yes.
No.
Why?
It'll never be able to do what the hand did, man.
Why?
Because it doesn't know what the hand was doing in that time. The same movements, the same like brush strokes. It can replicate.
So then, why can someone take a photocopy of the Mona Lisa and put it against the regular Mona Lisa, and people can't tell the difference?
You put an artist up to it. I would be interested. I would be interested in. It would be interesting.
But they could tell because of like aging and stuff like that. But I'm talking the actual.
I'm saying like
computers, dude. Computers aren't that fucking crazy. Like you can program them to do.
I'm saying if Cortland were to look at two paintings of the Mona Lisa, the real one versus like a photocopy or whatever, I think Cortland would be able to tell.
Maybe because of like aging and stuff.
I don't even think because of aging, because he's an artist, man. And I'd be interested. I could be wrong.
I just believe otherwise.
I could be wrong. I could completely be wrong. But I think like when you're an artist, you kind of see those things because you're in the moment and you're doing those things. By the way, I cannot fucking draw. I can't do any of that shit.
I can't either.
I wish I could, man, because I have a couple of drawings here that Cortland's done for me, man, and they're phenomenal.
Oh, he's really good.
Yeah, really, really fucking good. And they're, I mean, the artists would know. They would know, man. Like 3D printing or even printing in general could be, or photocopying of a computer trying to just mimic what humans do can be close, but I don't think it could ever be the same.
I don't know. This is a weird conversation about 3D printing, man. I don't think 3D printers are that convoluted. Like people lose their fucking, and I'm not saying you are, but I've seen people on YouTube and shit like lose their shit about 3D printing. It's a little nozzle putting out like plastic or whatever. Like I've seen them where they'll draw like a DNA spiral or whatever, and like people lose their mind and act like it's the craziest shit. And I'm like, you just program it to move left, now move right 3 degrees, now move up 2 degrees, now whatever, and then it's just spitting out the plastic the whole time. That's not fucking complicated.
No, I mean, I think people have made robots and shit like that. It's really fascinating. What's really cool is like there's that one guy on YouTube. He has millions of followers, but he makes like that Iron Man suit. Have you seen that shit?
Mm-mm.
The dude legitimately makes like a full on. I mean, minus like flying hundreds of feet into the air. But
That's
I mean,
cool.
like from the face all the way down, like legit, like the face opens up. He's got,
Yeah.
It's insane. Like that. That's a human being doing that, and that's cool as fuck. I know, obviously, a robot could do that, or you could make a machine do what you want it to do. But like,
Bro, have you ever seen what cars can do?
yeah, like
Like engines and cars and shit? That's pretty insane. Machines build those.
did they always? Didn't like
No.
Yeah, that so.
But the ones now work a lot better than the handmade ones.
Oh, for sure they do, and then that goes with boats and airplanes and shit like that. Yeah, machines are where it's at, man. But
Yeah.
human beings made machines, which is crazy. Or did they really? I don't know, man. Like,
I'm not drunk enough for this
but
conversation,
I know
Paul.
you're not. Johnny's completely sober. I'm on my second glass here of whiskey, but I mean,
This is water.
yeah, I've watched a little bit. I've watched some way back in the day. There was just some videos that I'd watched, and I can't reference any of these videos. I'm completely sorry. So what I'm saying is most likely bullshit, but there may be some truth to it, or not even truth, but knowledge. Sorry, where like people like Nikola Tesla or whatever back in the early 1900s, and I've said this on the podcast before, but they had dreams, and they wrote about this like in their journals, or people like they talked to people about it, where when they came up with the invention of like the locomotive or like the engine for Ford, like Ford specifically, like I don't know if it was Ford who came up with like the Model T or whatever it was, but whoever it was that did, they had a dream about the engine. Like someone was speaking to them on how to do it. And I know that, and that seems to be the common theme for a lot of the larger and bigger inventions, I guess is what
I mean,
I'm
that
saying.
actually, when you think about it, though, that makes sense. Because they're already inventors, because they're it's a mix of like highly intelligent mixed with highly creative. And some of them have a knack for engineering. Some of them have a knack for whatever, you know what I mean? So it's not that like people are confused by like the rotary engine or whatever. But then after you understand how it works and look at it and stuff, you're like, man, it's not that complicated. I understand how a rotary engine works. I've done the research. I get how it works. I could see how someone in a dream or in a daydream or in their daily thoughts who has a creative mind could come up with something like that while they're dreaming. That seems pretty sound, actually. I bet most inventions are that way. Just like sometimes you get stoned and you have these crazy ideas, which 95% of the time, 99% of the time are hella stupid. But you probably 1% of the time have one that's super cool, but then you never say it out loud because you're like embarrassed or whatever because it's just a stoned thought. Same for dreams. You've probably had dreams that are like self-correcting and good on like an egotistical level or whatever.
We're talking about major inventions, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think Jesse.
You think it all came to? Also, it depends. It's not like it all came to them in one dream and they knew where every nut and bolt and went. They had an idea. Their dream was an idea of how something would work, and then they test it out and realize that this will work this way. This won't work this way.
But like, and I don't think I've ever really gotten in this conversation with you. And Jesse and I did a podcast about inventions a really long time ago. And I think it's just fascinating when you go back to like the first form of transportation. And was it not locomotive, like a steamboat, or was it railroad or like a train?
What do you mean first form of transportation?
Minus a horse.
Okay, you're talking about like not like horse-drawn
powered
stuff, like something with an engine. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
And that's what always fascinates me is
depends on what you consider an engine too, because you had those like rail car things that would literally you could pump them and they would go.
Yeah,
like that's an engine.
Yeah, I think you know where I'm getting at though, like a high performance engine that can take.
I would assume it was steam powered, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. But I mean, that technology is insane. Like, I mean, is it really?
Not really.
But I mean, in that time, it is because it doesn't exist. In that time, when with all those people and they're starting to colonize and they're starting to, they had this wooden boat and they're like, man, like we need to find a way to travel faster, but they don't know how.
So they come up with something.
So they magically find oil and they say, hey, man, we put this oil in here and we just...
No, it's because they know the properties of like oil because it fucking burns and they know that you need, heat to compress air or whatever. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's that insane. Maybe it's just me. I'm not easily impressed.
But do you ever think about it, though? Like how it could have originated back in the day whenever they were trying to figure out these types of inventions? Or do you think maybe they already existed?
No, I don't think they already existed.
You don't think so? You don't think we could have inherited that type of technology as a civilization?
No.
No? You think we...
I mean, we could have. I think it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, like
I know I'm being terrible for the podcast right now.
No,
because instead of like debating with you and like having an actual conversation, I'm just like, nah. That's my belief, though, man. Or that's my thought process. Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't think that planes are that crazy. Like, I don't think planes are that crazy. When you look at how the airflow works over the wings and like air pressure and all, like, I don't think it's that insane. I don't think steam engines are that insane. I don't think cell phones are that insane.
Cell phones are a little crazy.
They're not that crazy, man.
What do you mean they're not crazy?
They're not.
Like, dude, like I could be in China and I could call you, and within 3 seconds we're on the phone together.
That's not that crazy.
What do you mean that's not that crazy? How is your voice traveling all the way to my voice?
Yeah, okay, I guess in that aspect, like, man,
3
yeah,
seconds.
It's insane that we've got to there in the amount of time that we have. But once we understand, like, radio waves and frequency and all this different stuff, like, it's not that insane that exists. Hence why they've existed for a long fucking time.
So were they not using it back in the day and we just don't know about it?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so? Man, and having Howdy on, Howdy Mikowski, I think we have. I think back in the day there was something that was truly going on.
I think you always want there to be something there.
I don't think so,
that
man.
Isn't.
No, like you can specifically look back like and just see that there was some type of global type of colonization on Earth, just like it is today, but in a different way.
No, we've talked about this, and I don't think you can see some kind of global colonization.
You can.
What, because two places built pyramids?
No,
the most structurally sound shape?
More than two places. Multiple fucking places.
And no, because it's the thing that makes the most sense. Because whenever you take...
No, Johnny, no.
Whenever you take a book...
But they all didn't have the same idea at the same time.
That's not an idea. That's not an invention. That's like common... You talk about common sense, right? Someone takes a stick and they put it in the ground, and then they try to put a bed on top of that stick, and then they try to put another bed on top of that stick, and they set a chair up there. And then when they sit in the chair, what happens? The entire thing falls over because it's on one stick. It wasn't some crazy invention. It's common sense that like you need a bigger base.
Real quick.
And then it was just the most structurally sound. We still use pyramid shapes and all that today, and like bridges and shit.
So you are more inclined to believe in like the narrative, like history books and.
No, I didn't say that either.
Verbatim. You're saying that you believe everything that is. I mean, for the most part.
No, I think that we don't know. We've probably got some stuff wrong.
I'm saying world history wise.
Yeah, we've probably got some stuff wrong.
Overall, you're saying you kind of agree overall. Like for the overall, like what you learned growing up when it comes to world history and how humans became the way that they are, you would say you kind of most likely agree with how it happened.
Yeah.
Who's teaching that?
What do you mean?
Who's teaching us that that's how it happened?
Scholars from all over the world.
Really?
Yes.
Like scholars, like when you're talking history books, when you're in high school and when you're growing up in those types of environments, I don't necessarily. Maybe it's not that way. Does it have to be scholars? And at that point in time, did they have an agenda, or did they work for the same people who are running the world right now? And it's just been
such a massive, ridiculous conspiracy theory.
No way. How is it?
Because people all over the world at the same fucking time were like,
so hold on,
we're going to write books.
Wait, real quick.
About the same shit
to rule,
to rule and poison the mind of whatever
of people for generations. Tell me if you were not the richest person in the 1400s that you wouldn't want. Your family, you wouldn't want your family to supersede that for generations and generations.
No.
And you wouldn't figure out
what you're saying
way to do that.
And I could see that. Just like I think the same kind of thing happened with the Bible back in the day.
Yeah, and look at what that did.
No, I could see that. I get what you're saying. But I don't think that teaching someone that fucking pyramids are structurally sound is poisoning the world.
I think there's some truth.
I don't think they're hiding. Once again, what I said is I believe the overall narrative. Is there some stuff that's missing? Is there some stuff that we don't know? Is there something that someone maybe left out because it's crazy and it allowed them to get super rich? Yeah, maybe. But in general, most of the shit in there isn't fucking made up fairy tales. It's there because it's the most logical, makes sense fucking thing, and it probably realistically 95% chance actually happened as far as your world history textbook goes.
Fair enough. And I asked you the question, and that was your answer. Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
That's how I feel about it.
So for me, like how I feel about it is like in those times, like the same types of people existed, like CNN and Fox and MSNBC and CBS, like all these people had like they had identity politics and tribalism aspects towards them.
For sure.
And I think that like Mike Anderson would probably disagree with me here, but he said that the conservative gene ruled for all the way up until like the early 1900s. I could be saying that, but I think that he said the progressive movement or the progressive tribalism aspect has taken over like in the...
That's a cultural thing. He wasn't talking about the gene itself.
No, I know that. But I mean, okay, I probably shouldn't have went that route. Sorry. I think that there's been this overarching type of entity, maybe like David Icke, and I know this is kind of crazy and out there, that has been ruling the world for generations, man. And I think it's kind of obvious because you see what's happening now, and I don't think that could not have happened back in the day just because they didn't have the same technology that we had. Just because they didn't have cell phones and just because they didn't have the newspaper or the television doesn't make them susceptible as human beings to hire corrupt people taking advantage of the poor, the middle class, and just benefiting.
We agree, by the way. I agree 100%. I just don't think it's anything. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's lizard people and aliens and all this other shit. I think it's just bad people.
Right.
In power,
so I'll never
being bad people.
I'll never be able to believe what they say in the history
I can
books
believe basic things.
No, I can't. I
can believe basic things that they have no motive. There's no motive to make up.
So talk about war. Let's go before the 1900s. Let's just specifically talk about.
There's probably a ton of wars that are lied about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. World War I, World War II.
I doubt that because there's like people who are alive today.
World War I, sorry. Let's just start there.
There are people who were alive like 30 years ago from World War I.
Hold on, just hear me out. When you go about 9/11, if you and I already go into school and learn about 9/11 in the history books, it's going to be portrayed in a way that's most likely not true.
I mean, we were alive when it happened, so you could look and compare right now if it's true or not.
And everyone has their own ideas on how 9/11 happened, but I think if you use common sense, and this is just my opinion, you can see past the lies of what's told in history books about 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, and I could be completely wrong, and maybe I'm a complete jackass, and I should just stop doing a podcast and not even talk. But if that's the case, they're going to lie about wars just in the same way. Even go before World War I.
We talked about how history is written by the victor and stuff, and all like if the Germans won, it would look completely different.
Yeah,
and we make ourselves look like heroes, even though we did a lot of fucked up shit too.
Right,
like we did a ton of stuff that's fucked up that we don't talk about in the history books that you have to find from alternate media and alternate history books written by people who've done their research and all that. So of course there are lies. I'm talking about the basic overall world history books. I don't think there is a reason or a motive to lie about basic facts.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not? Why would you?
Because it's perpetual. What they do is when a new person is born, it's perpetual. They want to perpetuate the same, they want to regurgitate the same information, the same indoctrination into each and every single person that is born.
I believe there's a bunch of indoctrinating type stuff. I think that is real. I think that there's a lot that we're told.
That's why it's called the New World Order, man.
But what I'm talking about isn't that. I'm talking about basic fucking history shit. Like World War I fucking happened. I believe World War I fucking happened.
9/11 happened. We were here. It happened.
It did happen.
It happened.
Yeah.
It happened.
So they're not lying. It fucking happened.
Yeah, it happened, but the way that they describe it doesn't
mean... The details? No, the details may be off.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Or why it happened. Or why it happened.
Yeah, same with all the shit. But overall, the fucking shit happened. What I'm saying about world history is it's not fucking crazy and it's not made up bullshit. And they're not like Egypt wasn't just all of a sudden never a fucking place and they lied to us.
Sorry. I'm not saying that the wars didn't happen. I'm just saying specifically on the events when it happened could be misconstrued on how it happened or the motive behind why it happened, just like in 9/11. I don't know if you believe 9/11 was a conspiracy, but I kind of do. I think that I
believe it's possible that it could have been like a black flag kind of fucking thing.
Sure. So, I mean, I think it's possible that you go back in the history books and people are learning in the history books that this is set in stone, this is how it was when no one was even there in the first place. And the people who were there and wrote about it, who knows what their agenda was.
Okay,
What
I
was
get what you're saying.
what was their agenda? Were they right? Were they left? What
But
was
Paul,
their tribe?
Paul, you're not going to change that, though. That's how history has always
No,
been.
and I understand that, and I think that people need to realize that it could be misconstrued.
Yeah, everybody should. Yeah, you shouldn't take any source.
But people do, and then they put their hearts into that, and then they trust.
Yeah, that's fucking dumb.
I know, man. And that's the indoctrination that I'm talking about. Like, it's free will and it's gone, and common sense is gone.
But
dude.
that's been a thing for years.
I know.
That's nothing new.
I'm just trying to bring
it really
light, man.
bothers you, is what you're getting at.
Yeah, it does.
It really fucking bothers you. Welcome
Yeah.
to the fucking world, Paul.
I know, man.
It's a dark, shitty place.
It is.
It's got a lot of beauty in it too. There's a lot of great fucking things. that
Very
happen.
beautiful. Very beautiful.
But if you just focus on if you spend your entire time, once again, this is actually, not to get real personal with all this shit, this is one of the reasons, I don't know what just popped up on your computer, but
We're good.
one of the reasons that I hate most conspiracy theories or most conspiracy theorists is that when you're focused, you know what? You might be right. But even if you are, what fucking good does it do? You just spent your whole life focusing on the negative and living a really fucking depressing life.
Because
like a hateful and depressing life where you're just like, and I get this because I hate a lot of fucking people and a lot of things, but like, man, if my whole life was dedicated to lizard people, 9/11's a hoax, the moon landing didn't happen, I'm adding all these things together, not just one. If you want to focus on one subject and do research, that's cool. Like Randy from a couple of weeks ago, like that's cool. He's focusing on something, he's doing research. But when you're just all over the place, fucking...
But why is it a hoax? Once if Randy's right and it's not a hoax and what he's saying is true and the government really did fake all of that shit and what he's saying is true.
Yeah.
But in the history books, it's told to you that this is what happened.
I know. I get what you're saying.
So fuck that, man. So what happens if Randy's right?
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not getting at that. I'm saying that... No, that's not what I'm fucking saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that if you're one of those people who you're intrigued by every conspiracy theory, every fucking conspiracy theory out there is not only interesting, but you're focused on it all the time, that's a really depressing world to fucking live in. And I don't know how you stay alive and not like just hate everything constantly.
Before you said that, you already said that the world's a very hard place to live.
I know it is. So you have to focus. Yeah, it makes it worse. You have to focus on the beauty sometimes.
Maybe it's not.
Take a step back. I hate to say it, but be a fucking sheep a little bit. Take a step back, watch a fucking football game, and enjoy your fucking life.
You're not wrong on that aspect. Because I mean, you're describing me as a person, and I know you're not intentionally.
I'm not.
Doing that.
No, and I'm not trying to.
I know you're not. But like I've tried to tell myself I need to stop watching football, but I can't bring myself to not do.
Why do you need to stop watching football?
Because man, it's like I'm watching grown men make millions of dollars while I'm sitting on a couch.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So if you were to stop watching football, would you be happier?
If I was more motivated, most likely, but I'm not. So no, I'm more happy.
Then you'd spend that time not watching football.
I'm more happy sitting on my couch watching football, Johnny. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like
that is my one escape.
But you're smart enough to realize what it is.
Yeah.
For what it is. It's bread and wine and entertainment, and you can accept that. The same with, and that's the point I was making with the history book stuff. Is you're smart enough to know that some of the shit in there is probably bullshit. But if you focus everything in your life around that constantly and thinking that it's bullshit and you don't just fucking ignore, what's that saying? Ignorance is bliss. Like, man, sometimes you just got to let shit go and live your life and be happy. Doesn't say throw away your morals. Doesn't mean just fucking throw everything out the window and let people take advantage of you. Like, that's not what I'm saying.
I know. I completely agree with what you're saying. I think I really want what I want, and I know a perfect world doesn't exist. But I feel like there has been an overwhelming amount of negativity that has ruled this world for hundreds of years. And I don't have any proof to back that up.
But so many other people are positive, right? So many other sheep are positive. So maybe the negativity just hits you.
And that's a possibility. But I mean, in my opinion, I think negativity has ruled this world for such a long time. And I just kind of want it to end, man. And I just want it to be positive and I want positive to take over negative, man. Because I don't give in to the religion aspect of life and God, and I do believe that there is a creator. You know, I'm more along the lines of intelligent design or a matrix, which does involve some type of higher being. But I think, and that doesn't even make sense to suggest that there is just this negative entity that's ruling the world. I don't know, man. I just feel like that's what's ruled the earth for such a long time, or history's been lied to us about.
I think that's just the way people are.
Yeah.
And if you can come to terms and accept that people are
that. No. It's just that when people get power and money, And that's the age old question. If you were to have that power and money, what would you be like?
And you don't know until you're there.
Exactly.
You don't know.
Exactly. That's the truest statement, man. That's the truest statement. We don't fucking know, man. I'm never gonna know, man.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes ignore it. Watch the Chiefs game. Have a good time
for sure.
Go out with your friends, get drunk, have a good time.
And
at the end of the day, come home and know that, man, some shit's fucked up in the world. And once in a while, you should probably do something to benefit the world a little bit and help other people out and be a good person. You know, whatever that be, whether it's donation or opening the door for someone or putting back your shopping cart or all the bullshit we talk about all the time. Like, yeah, do something, you know, stand up for what you believe in and give back to the community and all these different things. But at the end of the day, like, man, you can't, if you just focus on how negative dude, if I focus on how negative I actually think the world is all the time, I'd be dead. I would have killed myself already. Legitimately. Like, I would have killed myself if I all the time focused on how I felt the world actually is.
Do you ever just like have that feeling though in your head when you're at work and you're like, I don't want to be here, and it just like puts tension on your head?
You just phase that shit out, man.
No. I can do it, but like if I get in a mood and I feel a certain way, I can put like pressure on my head, like this negative pressure that I can feel, and then if I like tell myself to relax and calm down and like, dude, it's fine, I can get rid of it. It's the craziest shit, man. We live in an unspoken world, man. I don't know what the purpose of. I've said this to many people. We're living in hell, man. We're living in hell.
No, I disagree.
I mean, minus my kids.
Dude, my life's great.
Yeah,
your life's fucking great, man. You got 2 beautiful daughters.
No. I mean, there are aspects of life that are amazing, and you cherish those moments.
Dude, the grass is always greener, right? It can always be better. It can always be worse too, man.
Yeah, and
bad things could happen to your life or your family. Like, knock on wood.
I mean, but I like to think that I use common sense in life.
Yeah, I'm just saying, bad things could happen. So of course it can be worse, and it can be better. It's always, man. You are where you are.
No, I mean, I'm right here because I am in control of my life.
Yeah,
I'm in complete control of my life.
And you shouldn't let other people control it, right?
Correct. So there's a time and place for everything, man. You're not right. I mean, you're not wrong. But we're a little bit over the hour, man. I hope you guys enjoy Johnny.
It's a weird one.
Yeah,
I liked it. I had fun just talking to Paul. Paul and I don't have these conversations very often.
No, we don't, man. It was very fluid. It was good. It was an hour long. There was a few pauses, but that was me because I've had 1 or 2 whiskeys. I don't know, on the rocks, man. And Johnny's at 0, but interesting stuff, man. The best thing that you guys can do for Talk Junkies, honestly, is just watch, man. Watch, whether you're on Audacity, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Podomatic, whatever it is, man. BitChute, yeah. Kind of late to uploading that shit. We're up to like 12 subscribers on BitChute, but appreciate you guys. That's ultimately what it's all about. I'm not going to tell you to like, subscribe, or share. If you guys want to do that shit, then you're going to do it on your own. So, may the force be with you. To all our junkies out there,
stay fly and ring the bell if you want to. Not going to force you to.